Welcome to Ogles channel. Thanks for watching today. Let's continue our journey through every Game Boy and Game Boy Color game. And today we're going to focus on a game called Kid Dracula. Now, I never played Kid Dracula growing up, but I always heard a lot about it. It has a little bit of a cult following behind it, but it's actually a sequel to an unreleased NES game called Kid Dracula as well. It's only put out in Japan, so people here in North America, we never got the game. But let's go ahead and dive into the Game Boy version of Kid Dracula. Now, I always like to start these videos off by looking at the box art first. And as I look at the box art for Kid Dracula, man, this represents the game like literally perfectly. It has all the core enemies on it, the bosses, the levels, the animation, the charm. I mean, it's a great box art here. Right there in the dead center, you have Kid Dracula with a little fish below him. And the fish is not a boss, it's just a really annoying enemy throughout the game. But you got the little bat attached to Kid Dracula's head, and he's your assistant throughout the game. You got some basic levels represented, like the airship level, the cloud level, the gear shaft level, the castle level, as well as a lot of the bosses throughout here. You know, you got the little chicken and her hens, or her little chicks beside her as well. It's a really fun boss battle, actually. Then some just basic enemies like the owl over here, or Frankenstein down below. I mean, it's a great cover, and it represents the game perfectly, but also the art style. Man, I love the art style right here. It reminds me of like the cartoons I used to watch when I was a kid. One in particular is called Witch's Night Out, and it had something to do with SNL as well. But I watched it a lot when I was a kid, and the art style here reminds me a lot of that, and I just love this art style. Now, when you start the game up here, you got a fun little intro. You got a Kid Dracula coming in as a bat form here. Gets to the main screen, transforms into Kid Dracula himself, and just look how jolly he looks. I mean, it's a great image here to just sort of portray the charm and the good nature of the game. Now, when you start the actual story up, you have the Grim Reaper telling you that Gargamothe, who is the core villain from the last game, is back at it again, causing chaos across the land. It's up to you, Kid Dracula, to step in and try to stop him. However, Kid Dracula has all these spells that he knows, and he's forgotten all of his spells in order to stop Gargamothe. So as you travel throughout the game, of course, you'll be defeating enemies, defeating bosses, and learning spells, which are your special moves, as you go. However, when you start the game up, you really only have two spells, which is going to be the ability to turn into a bat, as well as your fireball or super fireball cast that you can throw out. Now, when you start the first level up here, obviously you're in a classic castle format here, but you want to learn your basic moves. You have a jump move, and you have the basic attack move, but also if you charge your attack, that's when you get to use one of your spells. And your only spells you have right now, of course, like I said earlier, is your fireball, as well as the ability to turn into a bat. Now, as you're going through the level, if you kill an enemy just regular, you don't really get anything for it. But if you kill an enemy with a charged attack, you get a little coin, and you can use your coins later on for like special mini games and such. Now, the enemies in this first level, they seem pretty basic, like bats and knights and Frankensteins, but they just got so much charm to them. They're like, when you see them, you can't help but have like a little bit of a smile on your face. And even the backgrounds, I mean, like the little moon up here, having a little nap as you go, or this point here where you get to stand between two pictures, and it's like probably like your grandfather and your great-grandfather picture behind you, or the little chandeliers here. I mean, the whole game, the background is just so well designed. The characters are so well designed. It just shows how much thought went into this game to try to make an enjoyable experience for the players. As far as the difficulty on the first level, it's pretty darn easy. Most of the enemies can be defeated with one shot. Most of the platforming elements are pretty simple. And even if you like actually fall at one point, you can just turn into a bat and you can hover yourself or fly out of the little area because you can fly for 5 seconds as a bat. So most of the first level, as far as like the enemies go and the platforming, it's pretty darn easy. But then comes the boss battle, and there's no better way to describe this boss battle than just laugh out loud. I mean, when I was going through the boss battle, it looked like this little ghost at first, and of course you charge up and you attack the ghost, and you kill the ghost, and it pulls itself off screen, and then the father ghost comes out, and you're already sort of entertained because you're like, oh man, now we got the real ghost coming after us. And of course you attack the real ghost, he falls off, or you kill him, he goes off screen, and then the grandfather ghost comes out, and the grandfather ghost can barely get along across the screen. It gets all the way to the other edge, you simply have to jump over it, gets to the other side, you can't even attack him, and then he just gives out from exhaustion, and the little baby ghost has to come out and pull him off the screen. So all I have to do is survive the third stage. But it's such a fun boss fight. I didn't expect the father ghost, and I certainly didn't expect the grandfather ghost to come out halfway through the fight. And so it's just a fun boss fight, and this type of enjoyment and its charm keeps it up throughout the entire game. But the first level here, it just sets the tone perfectly. Now, after the first level, you get a little cutscene here about your bat friends, how they betrayed you and went to work for Gargamothe after the first game, and they were helping with his rebellion, but now they feel bad about it, and they're coming back to your side to help you out. But even the bats here, I love the way the bats look as they're joining your team back. You got the regular bat, sort of the mean bat, and you just got this out there bat. I mean, everything in this game just has a character about it. But regardless, they come back onto your team here. When they come back, you actually learn a new spell, a new special move from them. And it's like a little batarang attack. You can throw it out, it sort of loops back to you, And it's a pretty powerful attack, and you're going to use it against a lot of bosses as you go, and even all the way to the end of the game. Even after you learn new spells, this is still one of the best spells in the game. It's also here you get to learn what all those coins you collected throughout the level can do. You can use those coins to play little mini games to either earn more coins or some extra lives. As far as the games to earn more coins, it's like a little number game here where you like select which numbers you want, like playing a lottery, and it goes around the circle and depends on where it lands. I'll be honest, I've played this game multiple times. I never could figure out exactly how this mini game worked. I usually won some coins out of it, but I never really had a grasp as far as how this game exactly worked. If you know how this game works in particular, comment down below and explain it to me a little bit, because I just have no clue. And then there's a second option for mini games to earn more lives, and these are really straightforward and they're pretty fun mini games, as far as putting the knives into a little casket here or a little case here like a magician, and the more knives you can stick in, the more extra lives you're going to earn, or a bat capture game or a rock paper scissors game. These games are actually pretty fun as you're going through them, and it gives you a pretty easy opportunity to earn extra lives. I never had an opportunity arise where I didn't earn at least one extra life for spending at least 10 coins. And then you have level 2, and level 2 definitely ups the difficulty here. You start off in this little tree area, and the tree part's pretty simple. You just climb in a tree, attack the owls that are coming down and get you. There's little kids that throw knives at you here. It's a pretty basic level, just simply climbing up the tree. You can use your new attack moves to sort of jump up there and throw it at the owls as you're going, but the trees can actually suck you in at different parts and then throw you back down to a bottom part of the tree. You have to fight through all those enemies again. It's not difficult, but it is definitely annoying as you go. Then after you come out of the top part of the tree, you actually go through this little part here. We have a little shop of horrors plants, and you have to attack those plants. And we're wearing sunglasses. They're looking pretty radical here. But as you attack them, of course, they back up and they continue backing up and backing up. And as they back up, they expose more tree branches till you get to the final end, and then they collapse and you can jump off the tree and continue on the level. This was actually a pretty unique little part of the game as far as character design, because these two characters, these little sunglasses flowers and sunglasses plants, they don't appear anymore throughout the entire game. Now the next part here is looks like Mario 2 as far as the waterfall and the little logs coming down. But this is actually a really difficult part of the game, because as you're jumping through this, fish can jump out, and when they knock you, and of course they knock you back. Now you don't fall straight in the hole usually. You just get knocked back a little bit. It's not as unfair as the Castlevania 2, which, speaking of, this is actually a spin-off of Castlevania. I forgot to mention that earlier in the review. But as you're going through this little fish area or this little log area, it gets pretty darn difficult, especially this little bridge part here. As you're trying to go as fast as you can, the bridge is just collapsing right where you're at. If you get hit one time, you pretty much die. I mean, it's just a guaranteed death. I did figure out after a little while, though, if you just simply charge up the bat attack and halfway down the bridge, you just go and convert into a bat, you can fly the rest of the way. And that's what I ended up having to do, just simply to get through the bridge. It was just a really difficult platforming spot in the game. And you get to the boss fight where you have to fight against Jason. And the first stage is pretty simple. Jason bursts out of his cabin with lightning speed here, run to the axe that's on the stump. And while he's trying to get the axe out, you can get a lot of attacks in. And the first stage is pretty simple, where he just has his axe out. But once after you finish the first stage, he goes back into the cabin. You think it's over, and then he bursts out of the cabin again, hops on his roof, has a shotgun, and is just shooting you down like he's a hillbilly in the woods here. And it's just such a fun boss fight. I mean, I didn't expect the first stage. I didn't expect the second stage. It's not super difficult or anything, but it's just a fun fight to go through, because you never know what's coming next. They catch you by surprise, and it just has you laughing as you fight the battle. Now, after you defeat Jason and finish the level up, you do learn a new attack here, and it's going to be basically the same attack that Jason had, a shotgun blast, but it's actually a homing missile, so it blasts out like a spread shot, and then it tracks its way down to attack your enemies. It's not a very powerful shot, but it definitely helps out as far as crowd control or trying to get multiple enemies at once. Now, the third level here feels like a fever dream. I mean, just look at the expression on the Cloud's face as they're, lifting you up into the next area. I mean, it's just wonderful. Of course, you have witches coming across who wink at you before they throw down a little attack or a little crystal ball that looks pretty much identical to a Pokeball. Is this where Pokemon came from? I don't know. I mean, it's possible. But then you also have these little featherless Dr. Seuss looking birds who are coming to attack you as well. And this first part of the level is not too bad as far as journeying through the clouds. But then you get to the second part, which can be like a roller coaster in the sky. And this is actually pretty difficult as far as just avoiding attacks, not falling off the roller coaster, and just simply not getting hit enough to die. And you have different enemies in this as well. You have these little missile turtles. You have little baby Zeus trying to attack you. It's just a really odd assortment of enemies, I guess you would call it. But this level here, especially the roller coaster part, it took me several tries because the Zeus kept knocking me off or ended up killing me before I finally got to the end. But you do have checkpoints as you go. But it's also here that I realized if you have a game over, you actually lose the number of extra heart containers that you've collected, and you just simply go back down to 3 hearts, which gives you more reason to want to actually play those extra life games between the levels, because you don't want to lose those extra hearts, and I found that out the hard way. Now the boss of the sky level, you get to fight a chicken, which is sort of ironic to a degree because chickens can't actually fly. And so the idea of a chicken up in the sky, I mean, it's sort of comedic in its own right. But the boss fight itself here is pretty easy. The boss fight just simply drops the little baby chicks out. If you have the spread or the homing shot, this is pretty simple. You simply shoot the spread up there, it takes out the chicks, and also hits her at the same time. Like I said, it's a really weak weapon though, so the boss fight's going to take a pretty significant amount of time, but it's a really easy way to go about it. Overall, none of the boss battles have been like exceedingly difficult so far, but they've all had their own little personality, your own character, and it just goes to show like boss battles don't have to be a difficult boss to be a good boss. They can also just simply be a fun boss, have a lot of character, have a lot of enjoyment in the battle, and that's exactly what this game is going for. Now after this level you get a little upside down power, and you're going to use that a lot in the next level that's coming up, but it just sort of begs a question. If you can turn into a bat and you can fly, do you really need an upside down power? I don't know, that's up for debate, but you also get to see a little mini map here, and I guess the mini map has been throughout the game, but the mini map just never like makes a lot of sense to me. It's like you're just placed on the map, it doesn't show where you came from, where you're going, and it's just sort of an odd little picture for all these little mini maps. And we're going to get to more of them as we go, but I just don't think the mini map was utilized very well in the game. Now level 4 feels like it's been ripped directly out of Super Mario Bros. 3 because you're fighting on an airship, you have little cannons that are shooting at you, you have a boss or you have a enemy here that's coming around, it looks like the little wizard off Mario or a Latinum off Mario. I mean, it feels like 100% like a Mario 3 boss level or airship level. Now you eventually get to go into the airship, and inside the airship you have to use a little upside down move, and it's fine. I mean, once again, like if you can turn to a bat, I don't really know why you would need the upside down move. The level itself is not too terribly difficult, and you finally get to the boss fight. It's basically a giant version of the wizard off Mario, and he's pretty easy, and then he turns into a giant robot, and of course then you can go up to the top of the ceiling and shoot the robot in the head here. And this is the first boss that I felt like just didn't make sense. Like the wizard himself didn't make a lot of sense for the airship level, and the robot definitely felt like it just sort of came out of nowhere. This boss fight here, it wasn't like charming, it wasn't a lot of fun, and it just didn't make sense for the level. So I'm not sure what happened in this particular level, but level 4 and the boss to me are some of the weakest inside the entire game. And it's after this level you do learn the bomb move, and you also get a little secret message here from the Bad and from your friend, the Grim Reaper, and you learn a new move. You learn an umbrella move, and the umbrella is passed down from your father, and you have to take good care of it because it's your father's umbrella. And I mean, it's just a sweet story. The idea of like Dracula holding onto his umbrella when he goes out in the daytime and wanting to pass that on down to his son. I mean, it's just a fun little story. Now, level 5, you're having to head into outer space, and they don't just take you to outer space for you. You have to actually go through this little tube that leads up into outer space. And as you're going up the tube, this is some of the hardest platforming in the entire game. As far as like jumping from platform to platform, and of course they're dropping down as you go. You have to keep going. And little enemies appear on the platforms. You have to shoot them and kill them. And actually some like robots from the last level. I actually think the robot would have made a better boss for this level than the last level because there's a lot of little robot enemies throughout. But regardless, you're having to hop from platform to platform, and it took me a few tries to finally make it to the top. And when you get to the top, there's all kinds of little alien spaceships up here. And of course, you have to take out all the alien spaceships. And I mean, it is just like coin galore here. Getting so many coins. And then, of course, you get to fight a robot version of Gargamoth who's led by an alien. And this one's pretty simple. You simply avoid the attacks and then shoot the bomb attack at his head when it pops his little head out. It's not too bad. It does take a few tries to get down the, I guess, his moves down correctly and get the timing down. It's probably one of the harder bosses so far, but it's still not a difficult boss. And once again, like the first 3 levels were just so charming as far as like the level goes, and so charming as far as the bosses go. And this one's definitely better than the last level, don't get me wrong, but it still just feels, it just doesn't feel as natural as the game was heading in the first half. But since this level did give me like 40 coins, I do go through a ton of different mini games here to try to get as many extra lives as I can, because I know the harder levels are coming up, and I end up going in with like 8 or 9 lives. I mean, it's a really easy time to collect extra lives. Now level 6 tended to go back to the type of game I wanted this game to be. You start off in basically like a lava land. I'm assuming it's probably like the alien planet here, but you have these little volcanoes in the back shooting out the rocks and such trying to hit you. You have, you know, different little flares that are coming up trying to attack you as well. Reminds me of like the Star Fox level, the Phoenix level, where all the little flares are coming up, or even like the Contra level where you have the fire coming up and over. I mean, there's a ton of games that have done this mechanic, but they do it well here. And of course you have to utilize a bunch of different moves to try to work through it, whether it's like the upside down move or you're trying to use your bat move to try to get through it. It's a fun little level to journey through, not too terribly difficult. Now there aren't a ton of enemies inside this level. It's mainly just like environmental hazards, but there are a few here and there. You got these little flames that jump out from the lava, or you have these little lions that look like little lit Leos here. And that leads us to a final boss of this level as well. It's like the Papa Lion or the Papa Lit Leo as we go. And it's a really fun boss fight. I love the way it looks, you know, huge sprite there, big old mustache or beard as it goes. And you simply have to drop down these little holes here, wait for him to go above you, and then shoot out your homing missile. Takes out the little lions he drops off behind him, and of course hits him as well. And then you drop down another hole, he comes above you, once again throws out several lions behind him. It's just a really fun, charming boss fight. This whole level and this boss fight in particular felt like it belonged in the first half of the game, and I love it. Now there actually isn't a special item or a special spell you get after level 6, so let's head straight on into level 7 here. At level 7 you're going into the caves or in the mines of the alien planet, and there's a lot of little miners throughout here, and there's a lot of little like drillers, looks like a drill man from Mega Man walking around, and you basically have to use your bomb move to try to blow up different rocks to find your corridors to exit through. And this is pretty simple for the most part, but it comes to this one part here where there's the blocks you have to blow up, and some of them are going in a down pattern, some are going up pattern, some are just simply static, and you actually have to try to throw your bombs and blow them up, create a little pattern to go across, and it's so easy to get trapped at the top of the screen or at the bottom of the screen, and it's going to take you several tries to just sort of figure out what's the best strategy, what's the best mechanic to actually work through blowing these bomb walls up. And it's a good little puzzle as you're journeying. Now when you get to the boss makes perfect sense for the level because you're basically throwing your bombs out to knock little blocks at him to attack him, and he's knocking blocks back at you to attack you. Stage 1's pretty simple. You just simply jump back and forth or jump up and down, knocking these blocks back and forth at him with your bomb move. Pretty simple, pretty fun. And in stage 2, a ladder comes down. You have to do the same thing now, but you're on a ladder. And this boss fight here, it's a little bit different than the average boss fight in the game. It's a different mechanic, but it's just simply fun to have a variety in the boss fights. And this boss actually fits the level completely perfectly again. And so to me, this also fits in sort of the first half of the game as far as like a really fun level and a boss that matches that. Even the sense of humor is a little bit there with the ladder coming down. I mean, these last 2 boss fights definitely felt like they belonged in the first half of the game. And then we head on into level 8, and level 8 is actually what I consider a annoying level, because there's multiple parts in level 8 that are just hard to predict, and it's almost impossible not to get hit, or maybe even die in some cases. It starts off as simply a scrolling screen going to the bottom right here. You simply have to jump from platform to platform, avoiding the spikes, attacking the little dinosaur-looking creatures that are attacking you. When you finally get to the bottom of that, then the next part of the stage runs into like an anti-gravity machine. And you simply hop into it, and it shoots you straight up. And you basically have to jump back from one to the other, trying to avoid the spikes. But the thing is, you don't really know the spikes are there until you're too close to actually avoid the spikes. So it's a really tough part to actually get through. They do give you some hearts to try to lead you in the right direction or to help you recover your health as you go. But if you're going into this area of just simply 3 hearts, I mean, it can be really tough to actually just simply get through this anti-gravity machine part. And then you move into this little section here with all these drills dropping down from the ceiling. And as they're dropping down, I kept looking at them. I kept thinking like, man, they look familiar. Man, they look familiar. And I couldn't figure it out. But then I realized the top part of the head, it looks just like Bender from Futurama. I mean, somebody borrowed the design from somewhere because it looks so much like it to me. And then you move into the next part here and you're fighting off these little dinosaurs that shoot out fireballs. And they're pretty simple here, but they definitely look like a mix of like a dinosaur and a xenomorph, which I guess fits well since it's like a prehistoric alien planet. But my favorite part here is you're going through and you have to put your umbrella to block the attacks from the little xenomorph dinosaur. And the little ceiling's coming down as you go. And you're running for your umbrella and the ceiling's coming down. The dinosaurs are being taken out as you go. And then you jump out, you got your umbrella above your head. This is such a dynamic action scene in the game. And it's just amazing. And I love the way it looks. And then we're ready for our final fight here against King Gargamoth, and it's actually a pretty difficult fight as far as like having to do it multiple times just to learn the boss patterns. Now the first part is probably the easier of the two because he's got his little mechanical here and he's floating above you with his little wings, and he shoots out little laser beams, and after his side laser beam you just simply jump up and use your little battering attack and hit him in the mouth here. But after he loses his wings and he's simply jumping across the screen, it's really hard to predict like which direction he's going to go or how close he's going to get to you or what height of jump he's going to use. And it took me several tries to actually just simply get through stage 2 here. But once again, it's the same attack. You have to use the batarang attack. It's the only attack that works for him. Hit him in the mouth at certain time periods when it's open. And that's the only way to defeat King Gargamoth. And of course, after he's defeated, the credits begin to roll. And of course, there's a cute little scene here of you under the moon, you and your little bat friends behind you. A little joke about having to return the umbrella as well. I mean, the game finishes off here with the exact same sense of humor, the exact same personality that it had at the beginning and throughout most of the game as well. Overall, it's a great bookend to the game, and it's a really, really fun Game Boy game as far as like just being really unique and a funny game. I mean, the game was really well designed, whether it's going to be the enemies or the bosses. For the most part, there were a couple bosses I didn't particularly care for. The backgrounds were well designed, the sprites were well designed, the writing throughout the game was well designed. I mean, the sense of humor is just a really well done game. But as far as like just basic gameplay goes, the gameplay is really fun too. It's not just simply a run and gun or a run and attack game. There's all these different special moves that you use. You have to learn in certain levels like when to use certain special moves, and you have to swap them out pretty quick in certain aspects. It's like taking sort of like the idea of like Mega Man, but making it on the fly where you can just swap them quickly and, you know, actually have to use them to avoid environmental hazards or get around certain spots in the environment. It's a really good mix-up of gameplay aside from just simply the run and gun or action formula. As far as difficulty goes, I felt like the game actually did a pretty good increase in difficulty as it went. The first level's super easy, the last level's pretty darn hard, especially for the final boss as far as like learning his special moves and such as that. And so I felt like it was a good difficulty curve throughout the game, and I felt like it never got so hard that it was just like a massive leap in difficulty, and I like that. But even outside of like the difficulty of the game or the basic gameplay, they have like little mini games and stuff to break it up too. Like after every level, you can choose like a little money game, like which I said I didn't understand, but it's fun that it's there. And all these other little mini games to earn extra lives. I mean, there's just a lot of variety in this game. And if you haven't played Kid Dracula yet, I really recommend you at least giving it a try. I think you'll find it's one of the best Castlevania retro games that's out there, even though it's like a side story. And you'll find just one of the most fun Game Boy games that you probably ever played. I know for me personally, of the games I've played so far in this little contest or this little series, this has been one of the best games that I've come across. But is there a Game Boy game you'd like me to cover soon? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll try to get to it as soon as I can on my little schedule here. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos listed up above. And as always, go out there, find a great game to play. Just simply have a great rest of the day.